Hello, my name is Michael Bentley, and I have the privilege today of being joined by professional golfer Sadiq Jiwa, who also happens to be a patient advisor to Arthritis Research Canada. Sadiq, thank you for joining us.
Hey, Michael, it's great to be here. Thanks for having me.
Now, Sadiq, you've shared with me that you were diagnosed as a child with JIA. And so can you tell us what JIA is and what was the impact of that on your life?
Absolutely. So I was diagnosed with juvenile idiopathic arthritis, JIA, when I was 6 years old. The symptoms leading to that diagnosis started a couple of years beforehand, and it was mainly isolated to the suboccipital joints in the back of my neck. That has evolved to fast forward to today, 20 years later, where I have full-blown systemic JIA, which means that more than 50% of my joints are affected by the disease. The impact that had on me as a child was significant. I didn't fully understand what it meant to be diagnosed with juvenile arthritis when I was 6 years old. What I do remember was that I was told that life was going to be a little bit different for me. I was going to have to not be able to do some of the things that a lot of my friends were doing in terms of physical activity and sports and other things related to any sort of physical contact. And that both physically and emotionally made me feel isolated right through my elementary school and high school years.
So obviously that was traumatic and a challenge for you, but it wasn't done in absence of medications. What happened how was your JI being treated?
So through my elementary school and high school years, I was being taken care of by the pediatric rheumatology wing at BC Children's Hospital. They were the ones who diagnosed me, and they were the ones that were covering my treatment for a good chunk of the first decade and a bit of my diagnosis. And their approach to managing the condition was very much so utilizing different medications to get things under control. They would do physical exams, they would look at blood work, and they would look at imaging to determine the state of my condition, and then change up my medication regimen based on that. And so when I first started, I was just on anti-inflammatories, and that actually put me in and out of remission a couple of times. And as I grew and the disease evolved, that got changed into me being put on a lot more medication. So I've been on everything from the anti-inflammatories to DMARDs to biologics to steroids. And it really just felt like I was under their control in terms of the medication that I was on and what I was taking, and not really thinking too much into how that was affecting my body on a short and long-term basis. And it wasn't really until I left that pediatric care and entered university and made a decision that I wanted to become a professional golfer that I took a much more proactive approach to managing my condition. And when I did that, things changed for the better.
So what does a proactive approach for you for treating your arthritis look like?
It means utilizing all the other resources that are out there to help manage my condition. The reality is there is no cure right now for arthritis, but there are other ways that we can help manage the condition on an individual basis. So for me, that meant working with the guys at Pain Pro clinics and a physiotherapist and a chiropractor and all the other services that they offer. It meant looking into lifestyle changes, looking into my diet, looking into my nutrition, and looking into natural supplements and all these other ways that I could help gain an edge in managing the condition and be able to perform at a high level and being a professional golfer.
So movement, exercise, hands-on therapy, diet, and supplements. Maybe just quickly tell us a little bit about the dietary changes that made a difference.
Yeah, absolutely. So there's been a lot of trial and error. Like I used to work with a nutritionist and a naturopath, and there was a lot of trial and error in terms of figuring out what foods were beneficial for me and what foods I wanted to stay away from. For example, I stay away from alcohol and from caffeine and from as much sugar as I can. Stay away from the heavy processed, the heavy fried foods. Those tend to make me feel not the best after eating those. The flip side of that is a lot of lean protein, lots of protein on my plate. And I've heard this saying a lot, a rainbow color of vegetables on my plate all the time. And so sticking with those proteins and that rainbow color vegetables has led to both making sure I'm able to manage the condition on a day-to-day basis, but also be able to perform at the highest level.
Right. And so what a leading question now, I'll be upfront with that. What about supplements? Tell us how you've experimented with supplements.
So I didn't really look at supplements until I made that mindset change of taking that proactive approach to managing the arthritis. There were a couple of different supplements that I looked at. I remember the omega-3 fish oil was something I went in and out of and wasn't too committed to because we weren't really seeing the benefits all the time. It wasn't really until I found Sierra Sil, where I was taking their powder and also using their topical spray, that I saw some both quantitative and qualitative benefit to my day-to-day and long-term health.
And you were tracking, it was not just anecdotal, you were tracking that with a piece of technology. Can you just quickly tell us about that?
Yeah, for sure. So there are two major ways that I've seen the Sierra Sil help me out. One is just the overall way I'm feeling, and I'm the person that knows best in terms of what my body's going through, and I can feel that it's better while I'm on the Sierra Sil. But to give some actual anecdotal evidence, was I used to use an app called the Whoop, which is an activity tracker that's become a lot more popular in the elite golf community. And it was designed for high performance athletes, where it utilizes variables such as your sleep and your physical activity to then spit out a number in their algorithm that tells you your body's ability to recover the next day and therefore perform. And I did a little trial and error experiment with the Sierra Sil, where I started on it for a regimen of 3 weeks and saw very quickly that my recovery numbers increased from what their baseline was to quite a significant level, where not only was I feeling much better, but it showed on the Whoop that my recovery numbers got better. After I ran out of my initial supply of Sierra Sil, I stopped. I wanted to see if the Whoop could actually see a change. And it did. Within 3 or 4 days, we saw my recovery numbers drop back down to those initial baseline numbers. 3 weeks later, got on the Sierra Sil again, and boom, 3-4 days later, my recovery numbers shot up again. And so with that, coupled with just how the Sierra Sil was making me feel, making me able to practice harder and train harder and just feel better in terms of less pain, I decided to stick with it, and it's been great so far.
I think that's a really important point, Sadiq, that it's a holistic approach, and that Sierra Sil was helping you do the other things that help you battle the JIA effectively. So I think that's really positive. And speaking of battling, you've got some tournaments coming up, and talking about golf before we come back to a couple of things of encouragement that we'd like to cover. If you picked a favorite golf course that you could play one round and pick the foursome, your dream foursome, who would it be and which course?
Well, hands down, the golf course that I'd want to play is St. Andrews in Scotland. It's the home of golf. I've been there once before, but never got a chance to play it. So I really want to go and play and see how low I can go there. In terms of my dream foursome, there are 2 golfers I want to have with me, and one who's a recreational golfer. I'd want the great Jack Nicklaus. I'd want one of the greatest, winningest female Canadian golfers, Brooke Henderson. And then just to throw a little mix in there, Barack Obama would love to round out that foursome.
Cool. Well, I'll reluctantly admit they're probably more interesting to play with than me, but we can get together another time. I don't qualify as part of your dream foursome, but that's okay. I'll get over it. But one of the things we wanted to do in honor of Arthritis Month is, as a way to say thank you to you for sharing with us, is if somebody goes to our web store this month, the Sierra Sil web store, and in lowercase puts in arthritis into the coupon code, we'll donate 15% of the proceeds to arthritis charities of your choice, Sadiq, as well as adding another 5% off for customers. So 5% off the regular pricing plus 15% to arthritis charities of your choice, Sadiq. So before we finish though, what you went through was probably really, and have been through, it could be really, really discouraging. Yet I've always known you to be a person of gratitude and upbeat. What are a couple of things that you would recommend to somebody right now who might be listening, who's kind of down because they've got that pain and it's just, it's impacting their quality of life?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the 2 things that or 2 pieces of wisdom that I could impart on everybody is, one is to just have a positive mindset and stay strong with your regimen and how you're managing your condition. Like, I know, being a chronic pain patient for 20 years and only being 26 years old, I understand what pain does physically and emotionally and how it makes you feel. And so utilizing the other resources around you to keep your mindset positive, to keep going through that battle and finding better ways to help manage the condition with that positive outlook is going to be very key. And the second thing, coupled with that first one, is to seek out these other resources that are available. Right? When I made this mindset change of a reactionary to a proactive approach to managing my arthritis, that was looking into the physiotherapist, into the natural supplements like Sierrasil. And these are all these resources that are out there. And I encourage everybody to go and at least look at them, try them out, and see if they will help. Because a good chance is that something else is out there that'll be able to help you manage your condition. And that'll help you to then lead to a better quality of life.
Well, Sadiq, thank you so much for joining us. A couple of lessons that I take from this conversation is be proactive. Don't be reactive to your condition. Be proactive, get out ahead of it, pursue a holistic range of solutions, and try and stay positive and tap into the resources that are available in the community and in whatever relationships that you have. So Sadiq, thank you, and best of luck this week in the tournaments ahead. And thank you again for taking time out of your schedule on the road to be with us today.
Absolutely. Thank you. I appreciate all the support, and we will get out and play around of golf soon enough. Don't you worry.
Even though I'm not part of the dream foursome. Sadiq, have a wonderful, wonderful evening, and good luck in the upcoming tournament.
Great. Thank you very much.